We are really want to uplift our level of service, and that is why we need interaction, and where we fail, please tell us, and where we can improve. I just want to... The agenda for today is we're going to discuss the following documents. MD21, it's requirements for migration, and I will have an explanation on a later slide what is meant by MD21 and MD22, and also the way forward on the migration to 45,000. Then Belinda is going to touch on the purpose and the overview of ISO 45,000. This is not a training session, this is just to inform you on what is coming. And then frequent asked questions, and then right at the back we have already started with some ISO 45,000 audits, and then I'm going to ask Blessed Herweta, just going to give some feedback on what did he experience. Let's start with the first one with, as you all know, OSHA's 18000 is a British standard that was updated, changed, adopted, and then issued by the IAF as an ISO standard. So the ISO 45 standard is actually totally a new standard, and therefore we are not going to, it's all terminology. We are not transitioning, we are migrating from OSHA's 18001 to 45,001. ISO 9001 and 14,001, they were already ISO standards, so the terminology there was just to transfer to the new requirements or in the standards. That is just for clarity. And then the SABS is certified to ISO 17021 by SANS and RVA. That means that the SABS can certify companies to OSHA's 18001 or ISO 45,000 or any management system, 45, 9, 50,000, etc. Then they also got mandatory documents that's issued from the IAF to a certification body or to the SABS with specific requirements. That's very similar to you implement the ISO 45,000, but legal and other requirements is not defined in ISO 45,000, but you must adhere to them. That's very similar to the to certification. That MD documents is our legal requirements, as to say. Just examples is that MD1, if you've got a multi-site certification, that defines the rules for us that we must follow in conjunction with 17021. And MD5 is now how to calculate man days for quality management system and for ISO 14,000 to determine how many auditors for how long must be on site. That is where now MD21 is coming in. That is a migration document. That document will only exist till the 12th of March 2021. Then thereafter it's an obsolete document, because then you should have been migrated already to 45,000. But MD 22,000 will remain with as a mandatory document as long as ISO 45,001 is a ISO document. Let's start with the requirements. This is requirements to migrate to 45,000 from OSHA's. This is a migration document, migration document that is actually for both, for the certification and for our clients to follow. As you can see, already in 2016, the IAF did say that there will be a 3-year mitigation period for ISO 45000. The document was published on 12th of March 2018. So the mitigation period will come to an end on 12th of March 2021. After that, there will be no more OSHA certificates. All the companies must be transferred by that date. If you haven't transferred by that date, then your OSHA certificate will then be cancelled. And if we reissue or issue any new or any existing OSHA certificates, if you do a recertification audit, so September this year, your OSHA certificate will only be valid until 11th of March 2020, but you will remain the same 3-year cycle as determined with your OSHA certification. What is also very important to take note of is that you must conduct training. That is crucial. All our auditors, about 90% of all our auditors, are already trained on the new ISO 45 standards. There's new concepts, there's new terminology. And if the auditors is going to audit you and you don't understand that, then it can lead to unnecessary non-conformances or discussions. What is very, very, very important is that after that you must do a gap analysis for yourself and determine all the shortcomings. And then point number 3 is also very important. Then you must develop an implementation plan. And then with that implementation plan must be detailed with due dates, etc. But with that, we'll discuss it a bit later again. Then, with this, you must also ensure that all new competence needs, as stated in the new requirements, are met. And also awareness training to the relevant personnel. Then, thereafter, update your current management system to include all the requirements. If you can tick all the above, then you can notify the SABS, and then we start with the migration process or the audits. If you've got any queries or a question, just put up your hand, and then we'll discuss it immediately. Okay. A migration audit we can do it at any time during your routine surveillance audits, or during your recertification audits, or you can request for a special audit to be conducted on that. But what's very crucial, this is a requirement from the IAF. Because it's the ISO 45000 is a new standard. We must send an additional mandate to ensure that all the new requirements were covered, and that can have a cost implication. But we can have a discussion on that. They say it's a minimum of 1 mandate. For example, you've got a call center, there's actually working 1,000 people there. And there we only need 1 mandate because it's the same thing. But now you've got a mine where there's 1,000 people. It's very difficult to use the same methodology on both. So if we're going to have any additional mandates, we will negotiate that with yourselves prior to the audit. We can also do the audits in a single audit. Say, for instance, you can, if your surveillance audit, you ask us, Peter, we've implemented every requirement, please come and audit us during the surveillance or recertification audits. Or we can do a phase approach. We can audit you half now with this surveillance audit and maybe a half with the next surveillance audit. But that is where your implementation plan is so crucial, so that we know exactly where you are with your implementation of the new requirements and what to audit. The following is also very important, is that if we come in and do the migration audits, we will record non-conformances. And we're also going to classify them as minor and major. Only when all the non-conformances are cleared with all the requirements of the standards, then the auditor can make a recommendation for certification to ISO 45000. What's also very important is point number 3. You are now going for certification on ISO 45000. But you must remember that you are still certified for OSHA's 18001. That findings must also clear. If we've done the audit now and you're starting implementing the 45,000 requirements, please don't leave OSHA's behind, because that can lead to major non-conformances. That is clearly described in point number 4. That during this migration phase, please ensure that it does not interfere with the client's ongoing conformity to OSHA's 18001. Okay, the decision for certification to issue the certificate will be made by the approvals board once all major and minor non-conformances are cleared. And at this stage, the time frames remain the same, 60 days. This document will cease to exist, as I said, on the 12th of March 2021, because then the migration period is over. This document, MD22, this document is actually mainly for certification bodies, what we must do, and also for the auditors, where they must focus on. But some of these requirements got a direct impact on yourself. So I'm going to highlight some of those requirements that is really, really crucial for you as an organization. First of all, it's very crucial. Our auditors are not allowed to consult. If you ask us to do a gap analysis, we actually do consulting. We can give guidance. I know there's a very fine line between consulting and guidance, but I don't think the auditor will say, no, I don't can help you, I'm not consulting. But he will guide you or give you more than one example. But the IAF is very, very clear on this issue. A certification body is not allowed to consult, because we cannot be the player and the referee at the same time. This is a new requirement that is coming in, is that you must notify the SABS immediately after any serious incident or any breach of legislation or regulations. We've had a discussion this whole week. All our auditors were in a collaboration workshop, and we did focus on this point. I know the next question will be, what is serious? We've decided it will be a reportable incident. Any reportable incidents, you must notify the SABS. Then the client will do their own investigations, and the results of the investigation must also be sent to the SABS for verification. And on that investigation, we may decide to conduct a short notice audit that can lead to a suspension or a cancellation. So this is a very crucial point. I also want to touch on multi-site certification. In the past, if you did have 9 sites over a 3 period, time we will cover all 9 sites. But the MD 22 document stated that it is not really necessary to cover all the sites. We must select our sample based on the risk of the specific site. So what it means that I can audit a site where there's very high risk at every audit, and maybe then two other sites in year 2 and 3 certification. That means that I'm only going to audit 6 sites and not 9 sites. So it's all dependent on the decision of the certification body, but with communication with yourselves. This is actually just still an old requirement for 14,001, that you cannot have a multi-site where the activities or the risks are not the same. So if you've got a group of companies, the one site is doing chemical work, and on another site it's a food company, they cannot be a multi-site. You must audit them individually, and they must have their individual certifications on that. And then this is also very important, that the management rep must invite the management legally responsible for occupational health and safety, personnel responsible for monitoring employees' health, and the representative with responsibility for occupational health and safety to attend the closing meeting. If one of those don't attend the closing meeting, it must be recorded, and the justification must also be submitted, the reasons. It can lead to a major non-conformances if you say, for instance, every time the management responsible, if they don't attend the closing meeting. It can lead to a major or even to suspension due to commitment. This is also very important, calculation of man days. We're going to follow a risk-based approach to calculate man days required to conduct certification or recertification audits. There's some changes in there where the risk category of the client is going to change. As soon as your risk category changes, then the number of man days spent on site will also increase. Just for example, in the past, a slaughtering house was classified as a medium risk company. But in OSHA's 18,000, this is now classified as high, as per the IAF rules. And that will definitely have an impact on your certification. And that will also have an impact on your annual fees. But once again, prior to that, we will have discussions with yourselves if there's any change in your annual fee. Also, a new requirement is that if you've got seasonal operations, a very good example is harvesting activities. During your normal off-peak times, you've only got 400, but during harvesting activities, you've got 4,000 people now. The man days cannot now be determined on the 400. The man days must now be determined on the 4,000. And we must audit you also during your peak time. But there, once again, we can have a discussion in that. If it's your peak time, we know that is your most busiest time. We can split the audit. We can have a phase approach. During your peak time, we will not send in the whole team. We'll just send a portion in just to verify how do you handle your peak time. And the rest of the audit can be can be completed after that. Then we can also apply reduction in man days is for repetitive jobs. But you must always remember it will be based on the risk. Like call centers, there's 1,000 people sitting all in one room. So we cannot use the same methodology for 1,000 people in a call center as for 1,000 people in a mining industry. This is also a new requirement. We must audit one shift out of your regular hours, risk-based. What is meant by that, I'll just take again example of a mining company where the risk is very, very high and they do audit night shifts. During your certification period, we must do at least one audit where we are going to look at night shift. Once again, as I said, risk-based. We're not going to look at a call center if they work for 1,000, also 24 hours. We doubt it if we're going to do a night shift audit there, because it's a very low risk. If it's a high risk company, then definitely we must do a night shift audit in your certification cycles. If we're going to do a night shift audit, with this we will at least notify you about 6 months in advance, so that you can make arrangements from your side as well from the SAB as well. The following point, very important, where the organization may not be in legal compliance, they must have an action plan to demonstrate full compliance with due dates. The SABS will take a copy of this, and with the next audit we will verify your implementation for continuous improvements. This is the last slide that I want to highlight on MD 22 that is crucial. We've actually spent a whole day during this week discussing only this. When the organization is not in legal compliance, evidence of records must not just be accepted. A more in-depth investigation shall be conducted by the audit team. That is also coming to the next point as well, where significant hazards and risks are identified. More in-depth audits shall be conducted, and the client shall be challenged on their mitigation actions. If you put mitigation actions there, it must be really making sense, and the auditor is going to challenge you on that. So going forward, as soon as you're going for ISO 45000, much more time is going to spend on these two actions. Any questions up to now? Any more clarity that you need? Okay. Then the way forward on migration to ISO 45000. This is now more from the SABS, what we expect from our clients. Please contact us in advance to say that, okay, we are ready, we've ticked all our boxes, we are ready, please come and do the migration audits. It can be in a single phase or on a phase approach. It's all up to you. We're coming back to that implementation plan. You must have a look on your implementation plan. How far are you? If you want a single audit or a phase approach. That is why it's so crucial that prior to the audit, you must submit your implementation plan to us, so that the auditors can also prepare themselves to see actually your level of implementation of ISO 14001 and also where to focus. That is extremely crucial. As I said previously, if we issue any certificates, the expiry date will not extend 10th March 2021. But you will remain in your current cycle. If you do OSHA's audit in September this year, OSHA's recertification, we will only issue you those certificates to March 2021. So your certificate, for your OSHA certificate, will only be valid, say, for about 18 months. But as soon as you do your migration audit, then the certificate will be extended, not for a 3-year period, but for the remaining of your 3-year cycle. That is very crucial as well to remember. And a new agreement must be signed. The reason for that is that there's a new requirement coming in regarding the short notice audits, where you must notify the SABS of any serious incidents. And also, if you look, your current agreement make a reference to OSHA's 18001. As soon as you migrate to ISO 45001, OSHA's is an absolute document from there on going forward for the company. So the contract that makes reference to OSHA's 18001 is also then actually obsolete. And here's a point to take as well. In 2021, we are not going to do any migration audits because it's a very short time limit. We must make sure that you do receive your certificates prior to the expiry date set by the IAF. So we really ask everybody to go on training if you haven't done it and start the implementation process. You are welcome to phone us to give you guidance, and we can discuss certain clauses. But as I said, we are not allowed to consult, but we can give guidance. From my side, thank you, and hopefully the transition process will go very smooth. Okay. On this, are there any questions? Yes, Belinda.
Morning, sir.
Aye.
Just to make sure that I understood you correctly, is that no ISO 45001, 18,000 will be issued before 2021, March 12, whether you comply or not.
No. Okay. Say for instance, you do your migration audit next week. Then we will issue you with the ISO 40001 certificate immediately. But your 3-year period will still remain. We're not going to issue it for 3 years. Say for instance, you're going in, you do your transition audit during your surveillance 2 audits. Then your certificate's actually got 1 year left for OSHA's. Then we will issue your certificate for 1 year. Then the next year we will do our normal recertification audit, but now we will do it on ISO 45000. So your cycle will not change. If it's a surveillance audit, we do the surveillance audit with a migration. It's a recertification audit, we do your recertification audit with a migration. But the 3 years cycle will remain the same. Okay. Belinda.
Morning.
Aye.
I just want to find out, in your presentation, you indicated that when there's a major incident, we need to notify SABS. Why is that, and what is the impact on the status of the certification?
Okay. That is a requirement from IAF. But to say that you must notify because it's an occupational health and safety standard, and the certification body must also be informed that you're going to investigate, etc. It's not to say that the SABS will conduct short notice audits. When we receive your investigation and your results, on that basis, we will determine if you've done a good, if your investigation was effective or not. But prior coming out to do a short notice audit, we will engage with yourself to determine. That is, as there's a legal requirement for legal and other requirements for OSHA 18000, say a bylaw from a municipality. This is one of our requirements that we must apply to and adhere to. Okay. I hopefully have answered your question. Okay.
So I'd just like to ask about the legal one. Over the past and everything else, that some of the companies that I represent actually get external legal people in to make sure they fully comply. Oh, thank you. So a lot of the times what we actually find out, with all respect to the auditors, and that this is also just not with the SABS, that the auditor is not up to the standard of the legal requirements. Because he's not a lawyer, he's not actually, he's an auditor, he's not a legal requirement person. And I've seen so many times, and now we're saying that the auditor is going to have to go into more legal requirements. Is he going to be competent to do that?
Okay, from my side, yes, the auditor is competent to do it. Because our auditors, if you've got a mining company, for example, I'll just use the mining as a very easy example, then the auditor that's going to audit you will have knowledge of occupational health and safety experience in the mining industry, as well as the legal requirements. But what the SABS is also doing, if it's a new client, during the phase 1 and the phase 2, we sent an external legal auditor from our side. We don't do legal compliance audits. We only do legal verification audits to have a look what methodology did you use to identify your own legal compliance or your own legal requirements. Then also the SABS will also, there's two other issues that the SABS was also doing. If the client is a high risk, classified as a high risk, once again a chemical company, a mining company, then in our own procedures there will be a legal verification audit from our side as well. And what we're also doing is that we also every year we've got to order the calibration workshop as well. And then we also get a legal specialist in to actually give us training for the auditors as well on specific issues, on waste management, air, etc., etc. That we are doing as well. And then during our workshop that we've had this week, our calibration workshop, it was decided by our executive that we will have not only once a year a calibration workshop, but it will happen now every 6 months. And at that same time, we can also, at the same time, we are also going to have our own legal section where we're going to get the updates from our auditors. And the auditors on our side as well, the auditors also got access to all legal requirements. We've got a website where they can get direct access to. But as an organization, if you feel that you want a legal verification audit, please contact us and we can arrange one. And we will fit that within your own mandates without additional cost. We'll make sure that we can fit that in. But please remember, it is very crucial that the SABS, we don't do a legal compliance audit, and you cannot use that report from our legal specialist to say that you've done a legal compliance audit. We do a legal verification audit. It's just to minimize our risk and your risk, just to see that the person who has done your legal compliance, if they have considered all the hazards, risk, and also the legal issues around it.
When you sit in the middle between one society and another, if one turns around and says, I'm sorry, this company is competent of that, and then we get the SABS auditor saying, no, it's not. This is where we get a major thing, because you're now making legal, let's say, an issue a lot larger. It's a lot more needed, a lot more information needed.
If we don't run into issues very often, but if you've got an issue like that, please, we can discuss that offline. It is two different. It's two different. It's two different audits. As 45,000, you must do a legal compliance audit, and the person that is doing the legal compliance audit must be competent and must have the knowledge to do that audit. The auditor that's coming out is to verify if you did address all the legal activities. Is that his responsibility to say, but you have missed this and this and this and this? This is where you coming in. From a customer face or going the extra mile for our clients, then I think we are about the only certification body in South Africa, maybe one or two, that use legal specialists in environmental and occupational health and safety. It's also just to put you at ease that the person that you've used, did he look at all the legal, and is he competent? And if there's a debate between the two, let's assist and then take it further. Okay, 100%. Okay.
Hello, Peter.
Aye.
Hi, everyone. Can I just find out what is the frequency of the legal compliance audit?
Sorry, say again.
The frequency of the legal compliance audits.
That is for the company to decide. Okay, it's not defined anywhere. But you must have also. It's very crucial. You cannot say, no, I'm going to do a legal compliance once every 12 years. And you say, let's have a look. Let's once again get back to the risk. The auditor will look at the risk of the clients as well to see when a legal compliance audit. But we cannot be prescriptive. But everything, the whole ISO 45,000, everything boils around the risk of you, of the organization. And on that basis, you must make an informed decision regarding your frequency of your legal compliance audit. Okay.
Yeah, just to clarify, I just want to ask, so if we have a legal audit, legal compliance audit by our provider, and then he gets some findings, are we supposed to then communicate these findings to the SABS? Is that the requirement, or is it if we have a breach whereby the department fines you, then that's where you need to report? Can you just clarify on that?
Okay. If you do your own legal compliance audit and there's findings, keep it for yourself. My inbox is only this big. We can verify it when we're coming on site. However, if it's a reportable incident and it's a good, if company is coming out and there's a fine against you, then there was a breach of a regulation. Then we must be notified as well. Please remember that even though the MD 22 stated that we must come out or we must do a short notice audit, or we must consider it. It's not to say that we are going to do one. We will look at the severity of the incident, and on that basis we will decide. But it will not be only one-sided and say, now we're coming out, we're going to audit you. We'll sit around the table first and decide it regarding the breach, regarding your investigation, and then from there, between yourselves and the SABS, we will make a decision on a short notice audit that may lead to a suspension or a cancellation. Okay.
Thank you. Maybe we should be prudent to first say thank you for the initiative. And then the quick question is, I saw there that it said there shall be no migration audits in 2021. If you can just clarify that.
Okay. You need 6 months to clear your non-conformance. If we do the audit, say, in February or January, you've got 6 months to clear it. Then there's about no time. Then we must prepare your file and we must submit that to the approvals board. That is a separate entity that is totally independent from operations. That can delay your certificate. That is why the last audit, we've also had a discussion that we actually want to have our last audit conducted in the middle of October, the transition audit, so that there's sufficient time for yourself to clear any non-conformances, and also for the SABS to ensure that there's no delay in issue your certificates. So from now, anytime you can audit us, but we do not want to do transition audits in 2021. It's going to be extremely high risk for you as a company and for us as a SABS. That is why we've got this session. If you look at that, the document was already published in March 2018. We're already a year down the line. And you will know yourself if you've been on training. The training, as I said, is very crucial. There's new definitions. There's new concepts. If you haven't got on a training and you think you're going to read yourself and you will implement it, it's going to be very difficult. But, because you will not really understand the intent of a definition, or I'm not saying you will not, but there can be a different meaning behind a certain paragraph that you've messed with. But, so this is very crucial that you must go on the training. All the relevant personnel, I'm not saying everybody in the organization must go on training, but all the relevant people that's going to work with the implementation of the management system of the new 45,000. I suggest that they all go on the 45,000 training. There's various training. I think there's Belinda will touch on it. Which training is recommended for whom? Okay. Okay.
Morning, Peter.
Hi, Zochina.
Yeah. Thanks for organizing this. Just a follow-up on that legal compliance audit and the 3 years. We recently had auditors. I'm actually surprised that they are not saying anything. And we had an issue with the 3-year period. We defined our own period that we said is 5 years. But then when they came, they had an issue that our certification expires every 3 years. So it's advisable that we review our legal compliance audit every 3 years. So that issue sounds like it's not clear to everybody here. I mean, which one do we take? Because they put it in our audit report, in our audit findings. Maybe they can help with it.
Okay, but there's somebody that can help us with that. That is Ina Besuitnout is one of our legal specialists.
Hi everybody. Just coming back to that, really the requirement for the legal compliance evaluation as required by all the standards. It will rely or depend on your own, the nature of your operations, the risks of your operations, and in many cases also the maturity of your management system. So you as a company can decide. If you then, like in your scenario, let's say you decide it's once every 4 years, which then means you're not going to have legal compliance evaluation necessarily in a certification cycle. If you can demonstrate basically on the outcome of your previous compliance audits that minor findings raised not a lot of repeat findings, then you can actually prove that the period that you have determined is adequate. Whereas if it is like repeat findings or major issues that keeps on getting raised, it tells you you're not really tweaked or that sensitive to your legal requirements, and then maybe a recommendation that you consider it. But it really remains the prerogative of the operation or the client to decide when are you doing this. Peter, I think then in the case of findings like that, maybe we should just thrash it out and just do a comment on that.
Okay, there's something to that we can, as an organization, have a look at. Okay, thanks, Zorina. Any more questions? There is one more. Oh, yes, well.
I would like to ask about the migration and implementation plan. Let's say a company has already implemented the 45,000 into the organization, yet they don't have a plan like this. Will we be penalized, or can the SABS not want to do the audit? Do you have to have that plan?
No, it's not a requirement to have a plan. Okay, if you can, just notify us then before the time to say that we've covered all the requirements and give a brief summary, then it's also acceptable. Okay, but it's also, have a look, it's also for the audit team, just to have a bird's eye view if you did actually address all the new requirements. Okay. Belinda, you in front, please.
Morning, everyone. Thank you once again for the opportunity also. My question is regarding the audits, when they come and do the audits for us. Because usually there was this practice that you could actually do both the ISO 40,000 and the OSHAs together simultaneously. So I saw on the requirements here that you're going to be doing in-depth auditing. So would SABS recommend that we continue with that practice, or is it going to be something that we need to look on the individual standards now or management systems?
You must maintain your OSHA's 18001 standards. No doubt, because you are still certified for that. The auditors will take a sample of both. That is why we're going to have an additional extra time, where that additional time will only focus on the ISO 45 requirements. But if the system is rolled out already into the processes, they will focus mainly on 45,000, but they will also have a look if you did maintain your OSHA certification, because you are currently certified for OSHAs. Okay, so it will be a combined audit.
Okay. So, but if, say for instance, after 2021, the 45 is now implemented, we're no longer looking at the OSHAs, will it be advisable to do both your ISO 45,000 and your ISO 40,001 concurrently, or would you recommend you look at the one, do the in-depth auditing like it's stated there, and then come back to your other one?
Okay. I cannot consult, but if I'm in your shoes, as soon as I migrate to ISO 45,001, I will not worry anymore about OSHA's 18,001.
No, yeah.
Sorry.
Peter, you don't understand here. What has been happening is that we're having ISO 40,001 audit and OSHA's 18,001 audit in the same, let's say, a day, in one day. They're looking at 18,001 and they're looking at 40,001. So she's asking if, since the standard is changing and it's having more job, would you advise us to have ISO 14001 today and 45001 tomorrow? Not on the
Sorry,
same
okay,
day?
sorry, I misunderstand. Sorry for that. Okay, it's up to the company. If you've got sufficient resources, you can do it combined, or we can do the first day focus only on 14, and the second day only on 18. But once again, there's a lot of overlapping between 14 and 18. So I'll say let's continue both at the same time and do the 14 and then also focus on the 18 where required. Okay. Sorry for that one. I didn't misunderstand.
Thanks everyone. Thanks Peter for this. In regards to the audits that are being conducted, we saw the 60 days that are being conducted around the December area. In terms of that 60 days, one, how do you count that 60 days? Taking into consideration public holidays, taking into consideration all these other things from other external companies whereby they are closing, opening and things like that, which is, I think, one of the issues. And secondly, is the issue of, in most audits that we have, the lead auditor is mostly the SABS auditor. Then the other auditors is consultants working externally. The findings that you get, it's more recommendations of how you must do things. Is SABS looking at those external people on when they reach those findings? Is it based on the standard or not based on how they feel? Because I think they're looking for business in terms of
that. Okay, once again, an auditor, we use consultants, that's correct, because there's a shortage of auditors, especially 14 and 18 in South Africa. In their contract it's stated that they are not allowed to consult or to give guidance. They are there at that day, they are a SABS employee. We see them as a SABS employee and they're not allowed to consult. If they want to consult and if they want to have additional business from yourself, we need to know it, because in their contracts it's stated that they are not allowed to consult, and it was also discussed during this workshop where we also invited our external auditors as well.
Okay. Okay, no, they are not allowed. I'm happy about that. But if you look at those findings, does SABS overrule because sometimes, I said a lot of clarifications and root cause analysis, and the external person will obviously reject or, always make a comment because he's looking for other things. But does the SABS check or verify on those kind of things, or you can overrule it, or you look at it in terms of that, not the external consultant, because he reads the non-conformances and he's the one that needs to close it out for me. Do you have any influence in terms of those kind of things?
Definitely. Everything is also going through the team leader as well. And at the end of the time, the team leader will write the clearance of findings. So he will also have an influence on that. If there's maybe an issue where you feel that the external auditor is now is unfair, whatever, you can immediately phone your team leader and discuss the issue, or myself. But there is still requirements to comply to regarding root cause analysis. Okay. Blessed.
And the 60 days?
Okay, the 60 days period is from the date of the audit. That 60 days is coming in. But say, for instance, we've done the audit in December, then you just notify the SABS and say, listen, can I get an extension for another month? We cannot go over 90 days. But within 60 days, in the report it's normally stated within 60 days, but if there's really issues within the organization due to holidays, whatever, then phone us, give us a call, send us a mail, we'll try to answer and say, okay, on this basis, and explain to us the reason why you want to go over your 60 days. That 60 days is not cast in stone, but the 90 days is actually very crucial. That is a requirement laid down by the IAF. Okay. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Just a clarity, I'm from the SABS for those of you who do not know me. Just a clarity also on the point that was raised here. Remember, in the closing meeting, we do highlight to you the appeals process. If you truly feel that the finding is such that the auditor has not been objective, the appeals process is available for you. You contact the senior certification manager in writing, and you detail out your concerns in the appeal. The SABS assigns an independent team to look into the merits and demerits of the finding. Unfortunately, the conclusions or the results of the appeals team are binding. So if they uphold the non-conformance, you will have to address it based on the facts, because they will look at both your facts and also where the team was coming from. If, of course, they feel that, yes, it does not look like this is a objective finding, then the finding can be. So the SABS does have a lot of control over any of those issues that are highlighted. However, my appeal to all of you is, please, let's not abuse the process. Let's appeal things that are genuine. There are instances where people appeal for the sake of appealing, and once they've lost the appeal, then you can hear from the tone that yes, indeed, we were just testing the waters, is it way to see how things would go. So let's use the process if we genuinely feel so, but let's also not abuse it. Thank you.
And coming back to the appeals process, if it's a totally independent team that's looking at the appeals process, we do take out the company's name, we do take out everything, so that it's really independent, without preference, looking at that non-conformance. Normally what we say, if you want to appeal a non-conformance and the non-conformance remains, then we're going to invoice you for that time. If the appeal is successful, then it's for our cost, and we will take the matter further. Okay? Because it's like Blessed said, in some cases they appeal because it's got a problem with their KPIs. So, but no, please, if you really feel that the auditor, this is a merit, please contact us and we will take the matter further. Okay.
Good morning. I want to ask about the notification on serious incidents. I know we are here for 45,001. Does this extend to 14,001?
It's not a requirement at this stage, but in the new agreement, we're also going to ask for that as well, for any breaches, significant breaches. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? If there's any other questions, please come and see me. We can discuss it offline as well, not a problem.